At 30 minutes past 12 and live from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo, I'm Hassan Shazuli and welcome. This is lunchtime news on Newsfirst, where the people come first. Let's start out with a look at your headlines this afternoon.
The Energy Ministry says it's unable to meet daily fuel demand. Long queues for fuel in many areas. The Energy Ministry Secretary says no funds to unload fuel shipment that reached Sri Lanka 5 days ago. Is Basil's visit to India a move to sell off assets?
ජනතා දේපල මහජන සම්පත් තව ඉතුරු වෙලා තියෙන දෙක තුනකුත් විකුණලා සල්ලි ටිකක් අරන් එන එක.
Indian nano-nitrogen fertilizer won't be imported, Agriculture Director General says. Murder and robbery in Sidua and Malabe. Dimut Karnaratne invites new captaincy if there is dissatisfaction over his role.
මට කරන්න පුළුවන් උපරිම මම කරා. ඉතින් ඒක ක්‍රිකට් සිලෙක්ෂන් එකට මදි නම් ඉතින් මම හිතනවා ඒක කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. තව කාටරි දෙන්න ඕනේ කියලා හිතනවා නම් ඒකට කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ.
News First with the people.
The President's office has denied reports that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has asked Central Bank Governor Ajit Niwad Cabral to resign.
The President's media division said that a local newspaper report claiming that the IMF delegation had laid down such a condition is a total canard. The PMD said that the IMF did not discuss about officials and the talks covered only the monetary issues. It went on to note that the President and the government has the fullest confidence in the CBSL governor and there is no reason whatsoever to seek his resignation.
Now, Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa met with India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar in New Delhi yesterday.
Foreign media reported that there was a lengthy discussion on economic cooperation between the two countries. The Indian Foreign Minister said in a Twitter message that India would continue to respond to the needs of the people of Sri Lanka.
The finance minister or other officers are not visiting India with the intention of saving the country from the dark abyss it has fallen into. When they obtained a $500 million credit line, they had to hand over the Trincomalee oil tank farm to India. The Kantale sugar factory and 20,000 acres of land was given away as well. According to reports, as a preparation for this, the Sampur power plant agreement was signed. The power plant that was supposed to be handed over to China was given away to India for this as well. Another agreement will be signed to hand over the administration of the Palali airport and Kankasanture port to India as well. Basil Rajapaksa is visiting India to hand over the rest of our national assets to India.
ඒක නිසා මේ බැසිල් රාජපක්ෂ මහතා ඉන්දියාවට ගිහිල්ලා කරන්නේ ජනතා දේපල මහජන සම්පත් තව ඉතුරු වෙලා තියෙන දෙක තුනකුත් විකුණලා සල්ලි ටිකක් අරන් එන එක.
විදේශ විනිමය පිළිබඳව ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනකොට හිතවත් ආණ්ඩුව වලින් අපි උදව් ඉල්ල ගන්න ඕනේ.
When there is an issue concerning foreign exchange, we must seek the support of other friendly governments. Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa is using his contacts to resolve the issues the country is facing. He is using India's support to resolve the economic crisis in Sri Lanka. This is an exemplary action.
ඉතින් මුදල් අරගෙන ඇවිල්ලා මේවා විසඳන්න තමයි සූදානම් වෙන්නේ. ඒක ආදර්ශමත් ක්‍රියාවක් මුදල් ඇමතුමාගේ.
Now, the Energy Ministry has admitted that it's not able to meet the daily fuel demand of the country. Energy Ministry Secretary KDR Olga said the daily demand for fuel is 9,000 metric tons, but only 7,000 metric tons is being delivered to the market at present. As a result, many filling stations across the country have run out of fuel, while people continue to stand in queues.
Thousands in the Polonnaruwa district have been left helpless as many filling stations had run out of diesel and petrol this morning. Farmers in the district have been affected as they are unable to reap their harvests.
තෙල් ගන්න ගන්න වෙන ගෑස් ගන්න කිරිපිටි ගන්න හැමදේම ඉන්න බෑ. මේ අවුරුදු මාසේ රස්සාව කරගන්න ඉතින් ජීවත් වෙන්න රටේ පාලකයන්ගේ ඉතින් හොඳ තමයි මේ. දැන් අපි ගෝයන් කපන්න තියෙනවා. දැන් මැෂින් වලට තෙල් නැහැ. අපි තෙල් පොලිමේ ඉඳලා තෙල් දෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒතකොට
This was the situation at filling stations in the Anuradhapura town. People had been standing in queues since last night. Fuel was distributed among the people this morning. However, people were not allowed to purchase diesel in cans. Farmers were severely inconvenienced due to this.
අන්තර්වේ අපි දන්නේ ඩීසල් බිල දන්නේ පෙට්‍රල් බිල දන්නේ ගෑස් බිල දන්නේ හරක් කරලා ඡන්ද දීලා අපි ගොම තමයි අපිට හම්බෙන්නේ.
Filling stations in Kandy and its suburbs had run out of fuel this morning. People were seen in queues at filling stations in the Badula town since last night.
මේ වගේ ආයද රැල්ලු ගාන ඉඳලා ගෙවල් වල එහෙම ප්‍රශ්න ෆිනෑන්ස් වලින් එහෙම ප්‍රශ්න ඒ වගේ ලියුම් එනවා එහෙන් මොනා කරන්නද ඉතින් කමන්නේ සැපට කාලා ඉන්නේ.
Some filling stations in the Kaluthara town were closed after they had run out of fuel. Sri Lanka has delayed making a payment for a fuel tanker that reached the country 5 days ago. Energy Ministry Secretary KDR Olga said the ministry is unable to pay $42 million for the consignment. She said plans are in place to settle the payment by tomorrow. The tanker is carrying 22,000 metric tons of diesel and 22,000 metric tons of jet fuel. The Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority says the tourism sector is facing a severe crisis due to the shortage of fuel and gas and the daily power cuts. Director General of the SLTDA, Dhammika Vijayasinghe, said various issues have arisen with regard to the transportation, accommodation and hotel facilities provided to tourists. She said the respective ministers in charge have been informed in writing to prioritize the tourism sector when supplying fuel, gas and power. Dhammika Vijayasinghe also said that Tourism Minister Prasanna Ranatunga has intervened to inform the Minister of Energy Gamini Lokuge and State Minister of Consumer Protection Lasantha Alagiyawanna on the matter. According to the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, 53,255 tourists have visited Sri Lanka during the first half of this month.
News First with the people.
Amidst all these problems in the country, in rural Sri Lanka, now farmers have begun reaping their harvests in Polonnaruwa. They say their harvests have dropped by about 60%.
Farmers in several parts of Polonnaruwa have begun reaping their harvest. They say harvests have dropped despite using organic fertilizer provided by the government. Farmers lament that although they could reap about 100 bundles of paddy from a 2.5 acre land, this time they could reap only about 30 or 40 bundles. They are requesting enough fertilizer for the yellow season. Farmers in Serunuwara have abandoned their cultivations due to a poor harvest. They point out that most of their cultivations have been destroyed due to pests. Will the fertilizer problem be solved even during the yellow season? The Department of Agriculture says there is no need to import nano-nitrogen liquid fertilizer from India. This is because plans have been made to adopt local mechanisms to meet the nitrogen fertilizer requirement for the yellow season. Director General of Agriculture Dr. Ajantha De Silva said several local producers have come forward to supply liquid nitrogen fertilizer. Accordingly, their products are expected to be purchased for the yellow season. However, the Director General of Agriculture said the importation of potassium chloride has been permitted.
A seminar was organized in Colombo yesterday on the feasibility of the proposed education reforms in the country.
There are two types of national schools. One type is what we call national schools within brackets. They have nothing in them except only a gate. Creating more and more national schools is not what should happen. There are 3,000 schools with less than 100 students. Development activities have not been carried out there. They are dying a slow death. When we step out to the roads, we understand the education issue of our country. Even people drive in Monteros and expensive vehicles show the standards of their education in the way they drive. We only think of educational restructuring targeting exams. We are drowning in issues that have no solutions as far as the eye can see. Our politicians don't seem to understand this. They come up with short-term solutions. They say a fuel tanker will arrive in a week. We will get a loan from India. We have fuel for the next 3 months. What next? The entire society has collapsed.
Today marks Madin Full Moon Poya Day. Thousands of Buddhist devotees across the country engaged in religious observances to mark this day since this morning.
Buddhist scriptures say that a number of significant events took place on Madin Full Moon Poya Day. It was on a day like today that Lord Buddha, along with a retinue of 20,000 disciples, trekked from Veluvanarame to Kibulwatpura to meet King Suddhodana. Devotees were seen engaging in religious activities in temples across the island. The Sirisadaham Seth Dharma sermon was carried out at the opposition leader's office under the patronage of the opposition leader. A Sambuddha Puja was held today at the Shakya Malaka opposite the head office of the Capital Maharaja Group. Venerable Bhakmitiyave Dhammananda Thero of the Gangarama Temple graced the occasion. The staff of PE Plus, a subsidiary of Capital Maharaja Group, organized the event. Mr. Anil De Silva, Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Group, and Priyamal Nikahatia, Personal and Managing Director of PE Plus, were also present at the occasion.
On to an interesting story now. An excavation carried out in an ancient rock cave in the Atwal Tota Rasigale area in Palindanuara, Kalutara has revealed details of a human settlement dating back to 14,000 years.
The excavations are being carried out by student monks, including Venerable Pahiyangala Suvangala Thero, Senior Lecturer in Archaeology at the Bhikkhu University of Sri Lanka. Archaeological excavations have uncovered a number of stone tools used by the prehistoric man, as well as remains of animals that were hunted by them. The excavations are being carried out under the guidance of Dr. Nimal Pereira, former Deputy Director General of the Department of Archaeology.
The two-day International Research and Innovation Symposium on dengue amidst the pandemic got underway yesterday.
The National Dengue Control Unit, the focal point for dengue prevention and control in Sri Lanka, together with the Disaster Resilience Centre of Huddersfield University in the UK, University of Moratuwa and the University of Colombo, organised the symposium to share scientific knowledge, best practices and evidence-based interventions among the wider scientific community in Sri Lanka and also globally.
Recent events, including the COVID-19 pandemic, have caused widespread social and economic disruption to communities, societies and economies in complex ways. This has contributed to systemic and cascading risks. In order to address such challenges, there is a need for better stakeholder participation and to share research evidence, best practices, innovations and develop competencies among all health professionals and key stakeholders, which should enhance preparedness and response for multi-hazard scenarios. Communities may need to be rebuilt physically, economically and socially. At the same time, it is vital that any reconstruction activity proactively considers how to protect people and their environment and reduce the community's vulnerability.
This conference will bring together both local and international researchers, eminent scholars and industry partners in dengue prevention and control, infectious disease and prevention, multi-hazard, early warning and technical sessions will also be held during the event.
If you look at the incidence of dengue in Latin America and Asia, it is more or less similar. But what has happened over the years is, say for instance from 1990 to 2017, the case numbers has increased from 23 million to 104. That's almost 4 to 5 times increase, and 70% of this burden is in Asia. Not only has the dengue cases increased, the mortality has also increased over the years. When it comes to dengue, and when we look at these challenges, there are priority areas which we need to focus on if we are to move forward. So we need to have good point of care diagnostics which are highly sensitive and specific, which we don't have right now. There is an urgent need to develop or repurpose drugs. Especially with COVID, it would be very good to have a drug now more than ever.
On Crime Watch this afternoon, we focus on a murder in Talhaina and several other crimes reported across the country.
Crime Watch.
A murder has taken place in the Thabugahavatta area in Talhaina in Malabe. Some robbers broke into a house between 8 and 9 a.m. yesterday, had tied up the owner of the house and a woman in order to steal jewellery. The police said an 80-year-old man was killed in the robbery. The woman who was injured in the incident is currently receiving treatment at the Colombo National Hospital.
Crime Watch.
Meanwhile, a woman was killed and her jewellery was stolen from a house in the Mukalangamo area in Sidua. The police said the victim was a 73-year-old woman residing at Munidasu Kumaratunga Mawata in Sidua. Further investigations into the incident are ongoing.
Crime Watch.
Meanwhile, a dead body was found this morning in front of the Panahavatta area in Dawson Street, Colombo 2. The police said the man had been hacked to death due to a personal dispute. The deceased was a 50-year-old man.
Crime Watch.
Meanwhile, a CCTV camera recorded the theft of proceeds from a charity till at the Sri Sudarshana Rama Mahaviharya in Matugama. Investigations are underway to find the suspects.
Crime Watch.
Right, let's now move on to a story that has captured global attention recently. At least one person was killed and 3 wounded after the remains of a downed missile hit a residential building in the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv.
The tower was reportedly struck today in the Donetsky district of the capital before firefighters and rescue personnel were dispatched to the scene. Foreign media reported that people have been evacuated from the 11th floor and higher, and rescue operations are being carried out to dismantle the structures and search for those trapped underneath the rubble. Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden has labeled Russian leader Vladimir Putin a war criminal in a move likely to escalate diplomatic tensions even further. Biden delivered the remark off the cuff in response to a reporter's question at the White House.
I think he is a war criminal.
It is the first time he has used such language to condemn President Putin, and the White House later said he was speaking from his heart. The Kremlin, however, said it was an unforgivable rhetoric. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said he was seeking an end to the war, security guarantees, sovereignty and territorial integrity as talks continued with Russia.
The talks on Ukraine continue. My priorities at the talks are crystal clear. End of the war, security guarantees, sovereignty, restoring territorial integrity, real guarantees for our country, real protection of our country. Ukraine received powerful support of our American friends. I'm thankful to President Biden for it. I'm thankful for leadership that united the democratic world, but the war doesn't stop. Russian war crimes don't stop. The Russian economy is still capable to feed their military machine. The most important is that Ukraine must get more support, more than we get now. Air defense systems, jets, sufficient amount of lethal weapons and ammunition to stop the Russian occupiers.
Кількість летальної зброї та боєприпасів, щоб зупинити російських окупантів.
An emergency meeting of the UN Security Council is set to be held today to address the escalating humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. The US, Britain, France, Ireland, Norway and Albania called for the meeting following the increase in shelling on civilian areas in recent days. The US, UK and France are all permanent members of the Council along with Russia and China.
Sri Lanka's Test cricket captain Dimuth Karunaratne says he will make way for a new skipper if the selection committee is unhappy over his role. He spoke to reporters upon returning to the country from the Indian tour.
The Sri Lankan Test cricket team returned to the country following a two-match test series in India today. Sri Lanka had not been able to clinch a single victory in any of the games. However, Sri Lankan captain Dimuth Karunaratne, who performed well with the bat, climbed to the third position on the ICC Test batsman rankings. The tour was unsuccessful. We went there hoping that we can at least win one game. There were weaknesses in our bowling and batting. We must work on these mistakes before the next tour. We know India is a strong country. We couldn't win matches even when we had strong players. There's a World Cup ahead. We will have to rest some players. Some players are injured. Therefore, our team composition may change for our future games. I perform to the best of my ability. If that is not enough to be selected to the team, I have no issue if they give my position to any other player.
Sri
Lankan fast bowler Suranga Lakmal retired from international cricket at the end of the series. About 3 or 4 months ago, I decided to retire from international cricket. We need to groom new players. If I continue playing, I will be able to do it only about for another 1 or 2 years. This is the best time to provide a chance for a new player. I hope to play county cricket for Derbyshire in the next 2 years.
And that's a wrap of Lunchtime News. Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget, a comprehensive update of these stories and more will follow on our Primetime News Bulletin at 9 tonight. I've been Hassan Shazuli. Take care and God bless.